out here that was it Africa? I think it was South America. Yeah, South America. I forget where they went.
The boys. And
I
it's
guess
so funny because they come back to back on your list.
I don't
Rabbi
know.
Joe and Dr. Bob. It sounds like a radio tune.
They got paid somehow, so they flew.
He's talking about it. Yeah?
Yeah, I don't know.
Do you really?
Money, money, all about money.
Well, they don't, maybe it's just me, maybe they don't. We got to keep doing widows, intercultural music initiatives, playing African. That'll complete the contract. Then you'll be culturally competent at everything.
I feel like I've minimized the kind of ways, but I would love to like continue like if there's a chance to
I've Well, it's not quite Simchat Torah yet, but it's close enough. So we gather together to celebrate change. Because the thing about Simchat Torah is we finish the book of Deuteronomy when Moses dies, leaves us a blessing. But in the same breath, we begin Bereshit. So there's really no ends. It's a circle. Actually, it's not quite a circle. It's a cycle. Because we always begin in a different place. And that's our work, to see how the world has changed. From the last time we read the book of Deuteronomy and received the blessing from Moses and had the challenge of going into a promised land, what it would take, and in the same breath, Bereshit, going back to the very beginning and getting a second chance to get it right after all we've learned from our journey. And what better way to do that than to begin? I mean, really. Thank you. I haven't seen this much music in one place in a year and a half. Thank you, Bob Hermans. Thank you, Klezundheit. Thank you for showing up. It wouldn't be Simchat Torah without you. Hit it.
That was called Hay Fever. Guess why? We're going to do a reflective, contemplative piece called Mark's Hurrah. And this is featuring our violinist, Matt, and I can't pronounce your last name. What is it? Pickert. Matt Pickert on violin.
Wow, that was beautiful. You know, Bob, I was about to see some things never change, but that was new. So there's even change in Klezundheit. Uh-oh. But this
Hello,
stays the
everybody. It's so good to be back with you. Well, you know this is a Simchat Torah song, so I need for you to sing out loud those oys, oys, oys. Okay? Give me a break because the arranger didn't give me any time to breathe in this thing. So I need for you to sing out real loud. Well, the end of Deuteronomy. Sounds sad, doesn't it? But no. The Torah renews itself every year, and that's what this is about. So, it's not a time for sorrow. New guy this year. Good help is so hard to find. Well, like I said, not a time for sorrow, but it's a time for joy. Kinder, wir haben Simchat Torah, Simchat Torah auf der ganzen Welt. Torah ist der beste Skeure, also hat der Rebbe mit uns gequält. Oi, 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 fröhle Kinder oder so, fröhle Qualen von dieser Quelle Gonane. Ich bin an Ohren jeder und es sagt mir gut der Räuch. Sing es Teure, sing ich erlebe und mache gute Freude euch. Und Tage Atzin, die wilden Sorgen, nothing is brought to a demon is for the Hashem gesehen. Oi, 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 fröhle Kinder oder Säu, fröhle Qualen von der See, fröhle Gonane. Gib's je noch ein Glas von dem Jontef-Dicken Wein, von aus Durrup gelockter Netzeler Ruck in mein Schottenkatina rein. Oi, weit wurde, was hast du meure? Ich bin ein bisschen freilich, kon mich stehen. Teure geben Simchat Torah, wenn du nicht noch allein. Es dreht sich mit mir die Schnitt, Freude und Hostrubin ist genossen, Leben und Leben ist. Von der Freude von Gott am Kommen, vor uns kommen heilig sein. Friedliche Scheren mit der Lebende, denn wir langen trinken Wein. Oi, 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 Freude Kinder und das Zeug, Fremde fallen von der Sekt, Freude Gonane. Oi, 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 Freude Kinder. legonanek.
Wow. Wow. Thank you, Leah. Thank you so much. Would not be Simchat Torah without the Simchat Torah song that reminds us that we are commanded to be happy. It's Zman Simchatenu. This is the time for joy. Now, long time ago, there was a Roman soldier that drove through a Jewish town, and it was Tisha B'Av, the saddest day of the Jewish year. And all the people were crying and lamenting for all the losses, for all the sadness they had. He said, oh, this people will never survive because they're so sad. All they do is cry. But the next time he drove through the town, it was Simchat Torah. And he got it. He said, these same people, they're rejoicing. They're making time to be happy even with their losses. He said, this is a people who will survive. And right he was. So we know that we can't stop a lot of the difficult things from happening in our lives. But we also know that on this day, we count our blessings to make room to expand for joy. And what is our greatest blessing? How did we receive the Torah? You remember the story? A long time ago, when we desperately needed a guide for living. We wanted a Torah. And God said to us, well, I'll give you the Torah, but how do I know you're going to take care of it? Give me something that will promise me that you'll take care of it. We said, well, our ancestors. How about our ancestors? On the merit of our ancestors, will you give us the Torah? God said, no, they're good, but not good enough. So we went back and we said, well, what about our rabbis and our teachers? Surely they're good enough for you to give us the Torah. God said, yep, they're good. They do good, but not good enough for me to give you the Torah. So finally we went back and we said, we thought again and we said, what about for the sake of our children? What about for the joy of our children? What about the hope that our children give us? And God said, for that, you get the Torah. So our job today is to consecrate our newest class of children who we are going to give Torah to over these next few years. Just last night, Rabbi Randy had consecration with our 10th graders. And the Torah, what? What did I say? Consecration? Confirmation. Yeah, I'm getting old. That's why I'm next chapter here. But confirmation, and those kids, they gave back the Torah in such a profound way. The Torah that they started receiving when they were little, like our kids who are here today. So before we invite Maura Maxine and Maura Essie up to consecrate our kids and go through this ritual of giving them their own Torahs, to let them know that they are on a wonderful, sacred, holy, useful, we hope, journey. I'm going to ask everyone to kind of just gather in the sparks of light and love. This is what we do with our children. Gather them in and hold your hands in front of your eyes and look deep within to find your soul place so that we can grow the light and share it with all the people whose lives we touch. And let's sing together the words of oneness, the words of the Shema. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kavod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed. And on a day like today, when you uncover your eyes and look around, the world just couldn't be brighter than it is today because of the light coming through you and our children.
Shabbat Shalom. Is it on?
Just talking to it, yeah.
Shabbat Shalom and Chag Sameach. It's my pleasure. better. Can you hear me now? Autumn, am I okay that I moved it? Shabbat Shalom and Chag Sameach. It's really an exciting morning for our students that are beginning kindergarten this year, and they're beginning their, which symbolizes the beginning of their Jewish education. And there's a story that I like to tell at this time often to the children when I visit their classroom. But this is an unusual year because we're doing consecration the week before classes begin, because we're getting a late start to the school year due to COVID and the Jewish calendar. So the story goes that there was a little child that was about to begin their Jewish education, and they would visit the home of their teacher, and they would write on the luach, on the chalkboard, the aleph bet, and they would cover it with honey. And then the child would come and sit on their lap and wipe the honey or lick the honey off of the chalkboard, which is not very pandemic friendly, and and that would symbolize the sweetness of the learning of their Jewish education. So this morning, in addition to getting your Torah, you are also going to be receiving a few honey sticks for your family to take home, and to symbolize the sweetness of your learning here at CRC. And we look forward to beginning classes next Shabbos together at our Shabbat school with all of our kindergartners. And it is our pleasure, Essie's and mine, to invite our kindergartners up with their families. We're going to be giving you your Torahs, and then we're going to put you right down center, and we're going to put you under a chuppah and bless you. But because we are also doing consecration the week before the school year, I want to show you, this is mine from when I was a little girl. I still have it. And my mother keeps it in an ark in her living room that she made we were 4 children, there were 4 little Torahs. And so we hold on to your Torahs because we are going to be bringing them back, because in class, we are going to be making arks for your Torahs and covers. So I just wanted to share that with all of you. Yes, my mother's a hoarder. Uh-oh, this is on live. I'm being streamed. I'm really in trouble.
Does she know how to stream?
Yes. No, not very well. So with no further ado, we do have some students that are unable to be here this morning due to the pandemic, and we also, one of our students became a big sister yesterday. So we're going to start with Henrietta Sape, who became a big sister yesterday to Magnolia. So, and she's going to come up with her grandparents. We'll give them their certificate later. No, we're going to meet them in the middle. I'm going to read all the students, whether they're able to be here or not, for different reasons. Roz Brightfield, Piper Fryman, Ben Harris, Ari Massa, Ruthie Norman Larson, Eloise Rabine, Addie Willenberg, Zell Worthington, and Jacob in the back. Jacob Goldman, come on down. Mazel tov.
So, Rabbi Daniel, Rabbi Karen are going to take the talit. During Sukkot, we realize how many things remind us of sukkahs, right? A marriage chuppah reminds us of a sukkah, and this tent that we're in, and this talit that has the fringes that remind us of our sacred obligations to each other and to the world and to nature in this beautiful day overlooking our awesome CRC mitzvah farm and our sukkah. So these wonderful young people starting their religious school journey are under the chuppah with parents and grandparents, and they represent all of the kids that will be starting school. And I just want to say that, there's this teaching that I love from Jewish tradition that says one of the reasons that the world exists, think about that. Why does the world exist? And one of the answers, there's always more than one answer. That's a good thing that you learn in school, more than one answer. One of the answers is the world exists to hear the voices and the sounds of children, right?
And so, last year, this building didn't have, well, it had the nest, but in terms of religious school, we didn't hear the voices and sounds of children. We heard it on Zoom, and they were awesome, filled with questions and wonder and love and caring, but we didn't hear them in our Sukkot Shalom. And thanks to our amazing education team, who are Maxine and Essie and Vera and Becky, and their committee and Rabbi Karen, they've come up with a way to do this in a way that we know is going to be safe and holy. And we're going to have kids back in our building at religious school this year. So, we call that a machaya. A machaya. So we can't wait. And, we're supposed to give you a blessing, you guys. But the truth is that you are the blessing. So how about this? How about this congregation stands up for just 1 second and puts your arms over this group in the chuppah. And last night for the confirmation kids, they're actually 11th graders, we sang them a song that they heard over and over as they grew up, and so will these young people. I'm only going to sing part of the chorus. I don't have my guitar, and we got other things we need to do with Simchat Torah. But it's Lechilach, and it's about journeys. And these amazing kids are about to go on a journey through all the different wonderful experiences they'll have at CRC and religious school. And the kind of ultimate part of the song says, "You shall be a blessing on this journey." So I'm gonna try to, Rabbi Daniel, Rabbi Karen and I, we're gonna lead you, and Maxine and Essie, so that we can sing to these wonderful, beautiful, sweet, amazing children. And the ones who are watching on their TV screens and computer screens and phones, that we know that they will be a blessing. They already are, and they'll continue to be. So everybody ready? 1, 2, 3. You shall be a blessing, and you shall be a blessing, and you shall be a blessing. Lechilach. Amen. We love you. We love you already, and we're just getting started. Congratulations and mazel tov. So have a seat, although you are going to be standing again in just a second. That's just kind of the way these things go. So then, right? Stand, sit, stand, sit. That was a class in rabbinical school, just how to tell people to sit and then stand. It was a whole class. And that, yeah, right. So, well, in a sec, yeah. So we're going to now do what's called the 7 hakafot, right? Jill is very excited for the 7 hakafot. The 7 circles, we did not get to do this last year. Well, actually, I think we did a video, but we certainly didn't have this many people. We're going to do circles we have 3 Torah scrolls. There's one in the ark we'll take out in a second. And 7, of course, is a holy number, a sacred number. In the Jewish tradition, there's 7 days in the week and all kinds of, 7 stands for wholeness and completion, because the reason for Simchat Torah is we will finish, after the circles, a whole year of reading from the Torah, from beginning to the end, from Bereshit to Deuteronomy. And then we don't just put it back in the library. Where's Jacob? Jacob and I were talking about the Torah before when we brought this scroll here. And I said, most books you keep on your shelves, you keep in the library, and I love my books, right? Actually, my mom and stepdad are moving to a smaller place, and the biggest the biggest issue they're having is which books to keep and which books to give away, right? Because they don't have as much space as they used to have. So books are really important, but we keep them on shelves, we keep them in the library. But when we're done reading the Torah, we don't put it away, right? We just start reading it all over again. We put it back in the ark, in the synagogue, because even though we read it year after year after year, every time we read it, we're different. We've had different experiences, and we've grown a little bit and matured a little bit. And so when we read the Torah next year, we'll experience it differently. we'll hear different things and we'll learn different things. And I know we got some Torah study regulars here, right, Paul? And, when you study Bereshit, it'll be probably like, your 50th time studying Bereshit. But I know it'll be a whole different conversation than it was last year. So we don't put it in the library. We start reading it all over again. But first, we celebrate. First, we do what we call Simchat Torah. We rejoice with the Torahs. And so, I'll ask everyone to please, if you're able, to stand once again. And here. Let's see, I'm going to ask, just to stand right in front, if Matt Schatz would come, he's going to carry the teak first. And I know, Lisa Huxley, are you out there? Want to come and carry one of the Torahs? Come stand next to Matt. And we're going to trade off, and anyone that wants to carry will be able to carry. Sarah, would you like to carry one of the Torahs? Sarah Marks is just back after 6 months of being in Philadelphia, caring for her mother of blessed memory. And she walked into confirmation last night, and it was just like no time had passed because Sarah is a Friday night regular. And we missed you, and it looks like you biked over here, huh? That's pretty awesome. Did you get to bike in Philadelphia? Yeah, good. Good. So these guys are going to start. This Torah is the Torah we read most weeks, and all our bar and bat mitzvahs, which are starting again in October, we'll read from this scroll. But after today, we're going to change the cover, because this is a cover just used for the high holidays, which are about to be ending, and we'll put our regular tikkun cover back on it. We're looking for it, but we'll find it. We'll by the time you see it. So we've got 3 scrolls. We'll start out with these 3 wonderful people, and then we're going to make 7 circles. We want to go through the sukkah, because that's the sukkah. It's been beautifully decorated by our religious school students in their kickoff event. So we thought we would go around the back of the tent, through the sukkah. You can see the farm and the labyrinth, and then around again. We're going to pass out flags. People could take lulavs from Sukkot. And if you want a turn carrying the Torah, just tap one of these guys on the shoulder, and we'll count 7 circles of rejoicing. The Klezundheits are going to be playing festive circle music. Maybe circle game, and All My Life's a Circle, klezmer style, you never know. Those are the only 2 circle songs I know. Joni Mitchell, circle game, and all, but who's All My Life's a Circle? Harry Chapin. Okay. But first, will the circle be unbroken? That's a good one too. All right. That's our playlist for next year. So everybody, one more time with the Torahs, with each other, preparing for our 7 joyful circles. Let's once again sing the words of Shema. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo. I want to make sure we feel good about being outside, totally in your comfort zone, as distanced as you want to be from the people in front of you and behind you. Everyone needs to figure out the way that they're most comfortable in this atmosphere that we're in. But believe me, no matter how distanced we are all together. That's what the Shema says. And so I'm going to give this Torah to Lisa, and Matt's going to take the teak. That's right. And this one for Sarah. And in the words of the ancient Hebrew prophets, we say, hit it, hit it, hit it. Everybody who wants to circle, join the parade. Go ahead. Give it up for Klezundheit. Have yourselves a seat. Great job. Oh my goodness. Everyone catch a breath. And my rabbi in Jerusalem used to say, Nishima Amuka, which means a deep breath. A deep, intentional, renewing, cleansing breath after good physical exertion in the great outdoors, celebrating Torah. And so, I know many of you have been here for Simchat Torah, and you know that one of our rituals, besides the 7 circles, is to unroll the scroll inside the sanctuary, because when the wonderful people, including Rabbi Susan and many others, dreamed this synagogue, right? Remember, we were across the street in what I call the mothership, the First Unitarian Church. They were our gracious hosts for many years, but then we had this incredible opportunity to build our Sukkot Shalom right across the street from where we started our life as a congregation. And one of the visions, or was it a dream, or are they the same thing? Rabbi Susan says both, right? And. A dream and a vision was to construct the building in such a way that when we had Simchat Torah, the Torah would stretch from the ark, if you can picture it, in the sanctuary, all the way to the back wall where the offices are. And so we thought that that was a tradition to save for the next time we're inside. But we do have our teak, which you can see the scroll, part of the scroll. A teak is the way that Torah is read in Sephardic congregations, not horizontal but vertical in its own case. And we were so blessed to be gifted a teak by a couple whose wedding Rabbi Susan and I officiated, 15 or more years ago. And out of gratitude and knowing about Rabbi Susan and her family Sephardic roots, gifted us with this teak. And so you can see the scroll, which is part of what we want to make sure you do during Simchat Torah. And here's Rabbi Daniel preparing to read from the very end of the Torah. And in this scroll, we're going to read from the very beginning of the Torah, preparing for the end of the holidays and the start of the Torah cycle. We still have a few more days, really, of these holy days. And one of the things that is said about Shmini Atzeret, which is near the end, is that we're supposed to stop. That's one of the meanings of Atzeret. We're supposed to stop at the very end and soak in everything that we've experienced and learned during the high holiday season, all the way from Rosh Hashanah to Simchat Torah. So as we're chanting from Torah, maybe you could start that process of soaking, think about the things that you learned and experienced and felt as we've had this high holiday season, a little bit of progress from the last high holiday season. We got to be in person, I know that I will hold these holidays within me for a very, very long time. And so we're going to make the blessing for the mitzvah of hearing Torah on Shabbat and on holy days, and then we'll hear both the end of the Torah and the very beginning. So together, Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamvorach, Baruch Adonai Hamvorach Leolam Va'ed, Baruch Adonai Hamvorach Leolam Va'ed, Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam, Asher Bachar Banu Im Kol Ha'amim, V'natan Lanu et Torato, Baruch Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen. V'ya Moshe Marvat Moav. And Moses went up from the Arava, the sort of plains area that comes before a mountain of Moab, El Har Navo Rosh HaPisgah, And he goes up this mountain of Navo to this particular peak known as Pisgah, Asher Pnei Yeracho, across from Jericho, V'yerehu Adonai et kol haaretz. And the Holy One showed him all of the land from this mountaintop. Et hagilad adan v'et kol Naphtali v'et eretz Ephraim. All of the areas from the northern areas to the southern areas, the eastern areas, and the western areas, all of the tribes. Umenashe v'et kol eretz Yehuda yad Yahayam Hacharon. From the area of Judah to the sea at the very end, V'taniga v'takikar b'ka'at Yeracho, and showed them all of the areas and all of the cities, including the city of Jericho, the city of dates. You can still get all sorts of dates by the side of the highway there. Iratamari matza'av ayomer Adonai Elahav zot haaretz. And the Holy One showed him all of this land. Asher nishbati leAvraham liYitzchak uYaakov lemor lezarecha ednana. This is the land, the Holy One said, that I swore to give to your ancestors, to Abraham, to Isaac, to Jacob. Hareitecha beinecha v'shamaha lo ta'avor. I will show this all to you with your own eyes, but you will not enter into it. Vayimot sham Moshe Eved Adonai, and this is where Moshe died, the servant of the Holy One. Be'eretz Moav al pi Adonai, in the land of Moav. Vayigbar oto begeh ba'aretz Moav mu'bed pa'ol lo yada ish et kavarato. And Moses was buried there in an area that no one knows. And the Torah, in fact, says that no one to this day knows, even though you can pay lots of money to tourist places that will take you to a place they say is the place he's buried. Ad hayom hazeh u'Moshe ben mea v'yasrim shana. And Moses was 120 years old. Bimato, at his death, lo kahata eino v'lo nes lecha. And his eyes were not dimmed, and his mind was still sharp. Vayivku v'nei Yisrael et Moshe bi'arava Moav shloshim yom. And all of the people of Israel mourned Moses for 30 days. This is still the tradition that we call shloshim, the 30 days after you lose someone. Vayidma'u yamei b'chi avehel Moshe. And it was after they were finished with this time period that Joshua ben Nun rose up and had something like a ruach chachma, a spirit of wisdom. Ki samach Moshe et yadav, for Moses had laid hands on him. This is still the word we use for ordination in Hebrew. Smicha Allah vayishmeu elav b'nei Yisrael. And all of us, we listened then to the voice of Joshua. Vayasu kasher tziva Adonai et Moshe, for he would learn just as Moses was commanded. V'lo kam navi od b'Yisrael Moshe. Never again would there rise up a prophet amongst our people of Israel like Moshe. Asher yadu Adonai panim el panim, that knew the Holy One face to face, cheek to cheek. L'chol ha'ot ha'mefotim asher shlacho Adonai la'asot be'eretz Mitzrayim, like all of the wondrous things that Moses helped to enable, the march towards freedom from Egypt. לפרעה ולכל עבדיו ולכל ארצו ולכל היער החזקה ולכל המורא הגדול אשר עשה משה לעיני כל ישראל. And this is the conclusion of the story of Moses. For the Holy One had brought us out of Egypt with a strong hand and an outstretched arm. And this was the greatness that was Moses in the eyes of all of Yisrael. Oh yeah, and we end a Torah scroll. We say chazak, chazak, v'nit chazek, that we all should be strengthened from one strength to the next.
All right, but wait, there's more. There's always more. So I'm gonna read now, just like the 7 circles we just did, the beginning of the Torah, the creation myth of the Torah has 7 days, right? And so I'm gonna read from the first day, representing the fact that we're just starting over again. Rabbi Susan loves the term in the blink of an eye. So last night we had confirmation. This morning, consecration. As a dad who's seen his kids do both, blink of an eye. And now we go from the end of the Torah to the beginning again in just the blink of an eye. Bereshit bara Elohim et hashamayim ve'et haaretz. And in the beginning of creation, God created the heavens and the earth. Ve'haaretz hayta tohu vavohu. And the earth was in chaos and without form. Ve'choshek al pnei tahom. And darkness covered the deep. V'ruach Elohim merachefet al pnei hamayim. And a spirit from God fluttered over the face of the waters. Vayomer Elohim yehi or, v'yehi or. You guys know this one. And God said, let there be light. And there was always light. Vayehi or, vayar Elohim et ha'ar ki tov. And God saw that light and said, ki tov, it is good. Vayavdel Elohim bein ha'or uvein ha'choshech. And then God did this division thing. That's a huge part of this beginning of the Torah, making separations, because at the beginning everything was all one, which it kind of still is, but now we have diversity within our oneness, because God divided or separated the light, the or, from the choshech, the darkness. Vayikra Elohim la'or yom. And God called the light day. V'lachoshech kara laila. And the darkness, God called nighttime, sleepy time. Vayihi erev, vayihi voker, yom echad. And there was evening, and there was morning, the very first day, and the very beginning of the Torah. And the words I love to use on Simchat Torah aren't really in the Torah, but all over this moment, which is to be continued. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chaye olam nata bitochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah. I'd also like to add a special blessing for the Torah reading that was filled with bubbles, which feels very kind of congruent with Simchat Torah. From now on, you guys, that's a tradition. Bubbles, Simchat Torah. But I do think with especially on Simchat Torah, and with the scrolls open, and with all of us having connected viscerally to Torah, we need to make a healing prayer to bring into our hearts and our minds all the people that we know and love who could use a refuah shlema, a complete healing, as well as the people we don't know who are out there, who are ill and vulnerable or sad and mourning or lonely, all the different ways that people need healing, mind, body, and spirit. But if you have the name, it's Simchat Torah, just raise your hand. Someone for healing. Go ahead, Paul. Oh, your mom, we give her our love. She's come through a lot before and keeps on going. So tell her we prayed for her on Simchat Torah. Who else had their hand up? Harriet. For Lisa, give her our best, a refuah shlema. And Bob. John Martin, JM, who, that kid, he does so many amazing things, and sometimes it gets in the way, right? So he's healing, right, in Fayetteville, Arkansas, in his sophomore year of college. So for that's a good place for healing. I can feel it, Fayetteville. Anybody else names for healing? In back, SC, for your mom, refuah shlema. We love your mom. And we're thinking about her. Lois Loomstein. Refuah shlema to Lois. And surgery today, this very day. Yeah, any other names? So for all the people we're praying for those of you who are here who could use healing, let's sing our healing prayer. Misha Barak, the one who blessed our ancestors, Simchat Torah after Simchat Torah after Simchat Torah, should continue to bless us and those we love and all those who could use refuah shlema, a complete healing. Misha berach avotenu mikor habracha leimotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing. And let us say, Amen. Misha berach imotenu mikor habracha leavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit. And let us say, Amen. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai rofei hacholim. May we learn from the universe, from divinity, how to bring healing in our own way, whatever ways we can be agents and angels of healing, that we can bring healing to those who need it. And we say, Amen. So before we conclude with Kaddish and some more music, just a quick announcement, because it really is still Sukkot. Glad we had our Simchat Torah when people can come out and celebrate. But tomorrow evening, right, is it 6 o'clock, Karen?
I think it's 5 till 7:30.
5 till 7:30. We are having a Sukkot picnic in our sukkah. Bring your own picnic. Bring your own pod. Bring your own chairs if you want a chair, right? And but from, I think it's 6 to 7:30, this is really cool. All the way from Hawaii, the Kona shaved ice truck. Matt, Natalie, Hawaii, Kona shaved ice, come on. So bring a picnic, hang around for the shaved ice. That's free, right? It's on CRC, I think. Yeah, it's all for you guys. For those of you who are here, for those of you guys who are watching, a chance to eat under the sukkah, one of the mitzvahs of Sukkot. So that's, bring everything you need for a picnic except shaved ice. If you bring your own shaved ice, that's sort of silly because it's going to be there anyway. So that's the big announcement. There'll be more, but that's the big one. And religious school is starting, right, Maura Maxine? Religious school is starting. We've got bar and bat mitzvahs in October in our building. There'll be room for anybody to register after the families, the people the family invited has registered. So we're excited to have bar and bat mitzvahs back after Caleb's this summer gave us a running start into the fall. So there's lots of opportunities to serve. Karen, is there a garden announcement, native planting? Well, here, let me do that. Hold on. This is like what was that? Wall Street. When the whatever. You guys know what I'm talking about. From when? 9 till noon. There's an opportunity to plant native plants on our green space by the building, and Mondays in the garden, 5 to 7. And of course, this is the season, Sukkot and the harvest and all of that. So lots of opportunities to serve and learn. But this is one of my favorite rituals of Simchat Torah. I don't know why. But we've been using the Yontif cover, the holiday cover, which is really stands out and stands for renewal. But now it's time to go back to our regular cover that has that incredible word, Hebrew word tikkun on it, reminding us that even when it's not the high holidays, even when it's not a time of heightened consciousness, that we have to do whatever we can to bring healing and repair to the world. So if everyone will stand. Is Andrew and Leslie still here? To sing Eitz Chaim. We can do it together, right? Eitz Chaim.
So we come to the end of the service, but we also come to a really important part. As I said in the very beginning, we are a people who remembers. We are a people who have our losses, but we know how to be sad, but we also know how to expand with joy. But that doesn't mean that we can't sometimes sit and remember. And the way that we do that is with the Kaddish prayer. The Kaddish doesn't mention death. It celebrates life and ends with a prayer for peace. But just to remind us that we're not alone in this, I think our amazing friend, yes, Leon Burke, has there he is, Leon. How great it is that Leon is a member of CRC. We claim him. We claim you, Leon. Leon speaks Yiddish better than anybody, any of us. His Yiddish is so good, and this is a special person that he's going to recall for all of us now.
Ich will bei euch a Kasche fragen, sagt mir, wer es kann. Mit welcher teure Vermögen wünscht Gott alle Mann? Man kauft das nicht für keiner Geld, das geht man nur Sicht. Doch als man verliert, das wie Tränen man vergisst. A zweiten geht mit keinen Genitt, es hält nicht kein Gewinn. Oi, wer es hat verloren, der weiß schon, was ich mein jüdischer Mann. Es gibt nicht besser auf der Welt. Oi, mein jüdischer Mann. Oi, weh, wie bitter, wenn sie fällt. Wie schön im Lichtig ist in Haus, wenn die Mom ist du. Wie traurig finster wird, wenn Gott nimmt ihr euch allum Habo. Im Wasser und Feuer wollt sie gelaufen vor ihr Kind. Nicht halt an ihr Teil, das ist gewiss die größte Sinn. Oi, wie glücklich und reich ist der Mensch, was hat, als schöne Matrone geschickt von Gott, nur ein altischer jüdischer Mama. Oi, Mama mine. Of things I should be thankful for, I've had a goodly share. And as I sit here in the comfort of my cozy chair, my fancy takes me to a humble east side tenement, 3 flights up in the rear to where my childhood days were spent. It wasn't much like paradise, but mid the dirt and all, there sat the sweetest angel, one that I fondly call my jüdische Mama. I miss her more than ever now. Oh, my jüdische Mama, I long to kiss her wrinkled brow. I long to hold her hand as I did in days gone by, and ask her to forgive me for things I did that made her cry. How few were her pleasures. She never cared for fashion stars. Her jewels and treasures, she found them in her baby's smiles. Oh, I know that I owe what I am today to that dear little lady so old and gray, to that wonderful Yiddish mama.
It wouldn't be Simchat Torah without you. Wouldn't be Kaddish without you, because you lift us up. You make that space. You open us up so that we can remember the lives of the people we've loved. Thank you. I do have a list, but I'd like to ask those of you who have come to say Kaddish for someone to please rise first so we can hear the names of the people that you are remembering at this time. Lauren? Oh, Mary Jo. Mary Jo. Mary Jo would be here with a Grateful Dead shirt on, tie-dyed, right? I see her here. I feel her here. She's with us. Thank you so much for remembering her. She loved it. I know. Yeah. Thank you. Stan? Oh.
And my mentor of mentors, Donald J. Short. Thank you.
May their memories be a blessing. Your mother. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I can't see, but oh, hi, Jerry. For your brother, right? Thank you, dear. Thank you. Are you guys standing, or are you, yes? In the back? No? Or are you just standing? Yeah. Oh, right. Right here? Yeah. Thank you, Paul. Thank you. Ray? Thank you for remembering him. And I know Sharon has lots of memories this year. Both parents died this year. May their memories be a blessing, and may they be together. Bob? Oh, yeah. Definitely on the list. Norm MacDonald. He made us smile. Thank you, of course. Maxine? Oh, lovely. We passed those names from generation to generation. And Sarah, this is the first time you're with us to be able to say Kaddish for your mother, Janice Marks, right? For your mama, who you went there and you stayed with her. And you just stayed with her, and you were with her when she took her last breath. Beautiful. Thank you. And Sarah?
I'm with Sarah, and I'm also standing for Mary Jo.
Yeah.
And for my parents.
Beautiful. Thank you. Am I missing? I can't. Nancy? Thank you for remembering him with us. Elliot? Thank you. Did I miss anybody? I can't tell who's standing and who's standing. No? All right. Well, thank you. Let's stand together if you're able as a community so we can remember some of the people that others have asked us to remember as well. Most recently, I do want to say I just heard this from Harriet this morning, but our member Sam Nussbaum, who was a great physician, just a great soul, biggest heart, one of the kindest people I've ever met, passed away, I think yesterday, so. And also, most recently, Beatrice Daniel, who's the mother of our member Hillary and mother-in-law of Steve Englehart. Judy Hunter, Frank Backelman, Linda Holtzman, Carol Fleischer, Bernard Davis, who was also a great physician, took care of Martin Luther King, right, in the day, and staffed we had a clinic, a free clinic for a while, and he worked at our clinic. Josie and Allison Abitz, Joan Zucker, Suzanne Cooperman Gill, Karen Marco, and Andrew Rockman, Judge Roberta Hitt, Andy Neiman, Ed Lander. So many people this year. We have Gail Hollefeld, of course, Dan Sokol, Orietta Cohn, who was from Torino, Italy, and was a Holocaust survivor. Michael Kiernan, and Tammy Keim, Robert Fauser, our past president Jack Oglander, Lou Myers, Dr. Nellie Grosswasser, another Holocaust survivor, Lizzie Pressburg. So many people in this past year. All their memories should be a blessing. And, you know, to have a yard site at this time, we remember Devorah Burko, William Boniface, we said, Meyer Cornish, Charles McCurry, Edwin Stubby, Israel Cohen, Pearl Glickman, Rose Goldman, we said Maxine's grandmother, Alfred Hollander, Thelma Klein, Rachel Swabsky, Theodora Lazarus, Jean Bollinger, that's Andrew's father. Dina Bornstein, remember her? Oh my God, used to drive her everywhere. That's right, she was. He brought her to shul every Friday night. Oh my gosh. Rebecca Seltzer, everyone is a whole world, everyone a whole story. Jack Shapiro, that's Poppy Jack. Mickey Zimring, Harold Glazer, Rose Scharf, Libby Londy Wool, Jerome Baker, Ida Enton, Ronald Gerard, David Herzig, Albert Lewis, Lou Weiner, and finally Leo Barnholtz, Jeffrey Bell, and John Lawrence Peterson. And Emily Engelhardt. Thank you, of course, and that's Steve's mom. So for all of these good people, the ones you mentioned, the ones we've mentioned, the ones you hold in your hearts, even if we don't call out their names, we know when we say the words of the Kaddish, they are with us. They are with us. We say, if you say the Kaddish with intention, then the heavens and the earth come so close, they kiss. So let's say together, Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, v'almad zivrach hirutei v'amlich malchutei, b'chayachon uv'yomechon uv'chayedachol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uv'izman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei rabba mevarach leolam almei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnasei, v'yithadar v'yitalei v'yitalal shmei tekudasha barichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbachata v'nechamata, da'amiran be'alma ve'imru amen. Yehei shloma rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mrumav, uya aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel ve'imru amen. And before we end with a blessing, I want to thank Bob Herman and Klezundheit. The fact that you guys came together, you learned something new, and you came this year, gives us hope. It really does, that we are going to get back together, right? We're going to be there. We're going to be there all together again. And, you know, it's never, as I said in the beginning, we keep moving forward. It's never going to be quite the same. And, you know, we don't really want normal because normal is what got us here. So, but I have a feeling that we're going to be better. We come out of this thoughtful, with intention, with devotion, loving each other more in spite of all the schmutz that's out there. We're going to come out of this better. And next year, we will all be together. And we'll even be better. Because I think Klezundheit does get better every year. You guys are amazing. Just amazing. And Leon, We're counting on you. So thank you, Bob, and thank you to every one of these amazing musicians for showing up and carrying us through. So we're going to give you a blessing, and then Klezundheit is going to play us out. And then there really are, for those of you who hung around, there are candy apples. Thanks to Maura Maxine, who went from store to store to get them this year. The last minute, our candy apple person couldn't provide them. So Maura Maxine did manage to get enough. So we're going to start by giving them to the children, and then if they're left over, then the adults can have them. But kids, you go first. Right? All right, so let's give each other a blessing. Put your arms however you're comfortable, elbow to elbow, up around each other, holding each other in whatever way feels right to you. Because this is a blessing that reminds us that we are connected. This is a blessing that reminds us that we are responsible for each other. This is a blessing that says if we want to get to shalom, we got to grow that light inside. The light inside that's the same in everyone, and start to shine that light so that we can do what's right and make the world safe for all of our children. And so we say, Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmarecha. May all that is good and high and holy bring those worlds closer together so that we can be safer and guarded. Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'yichuneka. May that light, that first light that Rabbi Randy read about was not the sun and the moon and the stars. It was the Zohar. It was that light of illumination, the light of enlightenment, the light of learning that our kindergartners committed to today. So may that light continue to grow and inspire us to help us know the right things to do. Yisadonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. And may all that is good and high and holy continue to help us all be versions of God and let the peace that we feel inside continue to grow and spread to all creation. We say amen. Shabbat shalom. Hag Sameach, and more music.